podcast, and it's been a while. And I just wanted to say, I'm glad to be back. We took a little bit of break because it just was got a little hectic, and so we had to take a little break. As you saw in a couple videos, Victor had his babies, and we had a bunch of stuff, other stuff that we needed to take care of. But I'm glad to be back. And I was going to wait until after the postseason to get started, but so much has happened already with the Mets, and I wanted to get started with the off season. So want to give my thoughts in the off season, or the regular season. Obviously, I'm glad I kind of took a break because that season was hard. It was a hard season, and so the season that we had this year is one of the roughest I've been a part of. And I've been a part of many hard seasons with the Mets, and but this season was hard with the expectations, with the play, with the mental errors that were happening with the Mets. They were just off this year for some reason, and I don't know why. Whether it was the coaching, we'll get into that in a second, or whether it was just them being off as a team, and still not gelling. Whether it was the young guys not producing uh, when they were expected to produce, like Ovientos, but it was just a hard season, and so just wanted to give my thoughts on the season and how things shook out. Unfortunately, it ended early for us as I'm watching Game Two of the Cubs Brewers. And then seeing the Phillies lose two in a row. It's are the Dodgers inevitable at this point? But we could say that we may have given them a better fight, but the Dodgers may be inevitable at this point. But I'm enjoying some good baseball, some exciting baseball with the playoffs. Kind of like I was watching Evan Roberts a couple weeks or a couple of days ago, and he was talking about how he's enjoying the playoffs because it's stress free. So it's funny it being stress free, but it's okay. I'd rather have stress. I'd rather be all stressed out and feeling every emotion and watching my Mets. But in a way, he's kind of right. It's stress free, and we're enjoying baseball without having the anxiety that the Mets have given us, especially this year. But let's get to it. David Stern's press conference. That press conference was telling in a way. He took the sword. He took everything, every sling and arrow that we can give him. He took it, and he. I think he was humbled a little bit. Obviously, he's still one of the. I trust him completely right now to this point. And 2 years, he's still getting to know the team. We last year, I don't know if they were expecting to compete the way we did, because I know last year we were calling to even trade away some players until they started going on that run. So this year, some moves didn't pan out. We can talk about the Montas move that nobody liked. And that's not a second guess. That's a first guess because nobody liked it. I'm not sure why Stearns liked it. Love to hear his reasoning on that. Oh, well, we did hear his reasoning, but love to hear more about like the in-depth reasoning on that. But at the end of the day, it really doesn't matter. Every GM makes mistakes, and that was one of them. Bringing back Mania and Senga. they were the guys that were supposed to carry us this year, all year. And Manai getting hurt in spring training, and Senga getting hurt in June, just kind of was the tone for the year. Actually, we talk about that we didn't have any pitching, and I think that was a big part. A big part was that the guys that we were supposed to rely on in the front of our rotation weren't available for most of the season, and so and those are moves that we as a fan base were all for. Everybody was for the tribal chief to come back, and continue because we thought he figured it out, right? The new arm slot with Chris Sale kind of arm slot. We thought he figured it out, and kind of David Stearns kind of said, basically said it. He never got going. Not only did he ever get going, he still had those loose bodies in his elbows that he was pitching through. So we don't know exactly if he did figure it out, if it was just a lost year because of the injury. I guess we'll find out next year because I don't think Manaea is going anywhere with that contract, especially with the year he had this year. So it's one of those things that we'll see what happens and we'll talk about it in future videos. But today's not the video for that talk. But so those moves were moves that we kind of were expecting and appreciated because we wanted Manaea back. Senga, we thought we were going to get the Senga of his rookie season, right? The Cy Young award winning or vote getting rookie season. And it just seems like Senga, I'm not going to blame Alonso for his injury, even though it happened because of Alonso. But the thing that gets me with Senga is everybody gets hurt, so it's not I'm not upset that he got hurt. What gets me is that it seems like every time that he gets hurt, he can't come back right. It takes him forever to get right. I don't understand why that is. I don't understand why it takes him forever to get back. As he because the hardest thing for any athlete is to come back from injury. And is he thinking too much of the process of coming back from the injury? Is he worried too much that he's going to hurt himself again? I'm actually not sure. I'm genuinely in questioning why when he comes back, he doesn't come back right. We saw it last year when he tried to come back in the playoffs, and and the thing is, nobody expected him when he came back last year in the playoffs to pitch 5-6 innings, but he couldn't even give us two. So it's like it's just weird. And then this year he comes back after the hamstring, and when it happened, because we knew that he was on a pitch count, right? Because we were expecting to do a 6-man rotation, but because of all the injuries, we couldn't do that. And so when he got the injury, we said, "Oh, okay, you know what? A couple of weeks off, we'll save his arm. He'll be back better than ever." And that's the thing. He couldn't come back better than ever. For some reason, he had an issue coming back, from the hamstring. It wasn't even his arm. So, and then to hear his reasoning at the end of the season that he has to get his body right, I'm completely baffled. Um, so yeah, those are my thoughts on the year. That's pretty much what happened this year. Is that the guys that we relied on to be our horses in front of the rotation couldn't last, right? Manaea never really got started, and Senga got hurt in June and never came back. Peterson was pitching great for most of the season until the end. Most likely he hit a wall. And Holmes pitched great, top 10 in ERA. You can't ask for more than that. And so, but the guys in front of our rotation were supposed to be Manaea and Senga. and you can sum up the season with those two guys. And so what we, where we go from here, obviously McLean comes up and shows that he has the potential to be our future ace. Obviously we're not going to give him that crown yet, but he has the potential of being our future ace. And we'll talk about the needs that the team has in a future video. But David Stearns kind of mentioned that, that run prevention will be the theme of the offseason. So whether that's pitching, whether that's trading away some guys that don't have the biggest defensive upside, like a Vientos, who knows? We'll talk about that in future videos. But we know that Stearns has a plan, and he's going to carry out that plan, whether we like it or not. Who knows? We're going to nitpick every move that he makes this season, this off season, and we're going to talk about it. Right? I've been in a couple Twitter Spaces, kind of talking about it as well, and it's just one of those things where we're going to talk about it. We're in the age of social media, so the Twitter Spaces are going on every day. We're talking about what's going on and listening to the guys and chiming in every once in a while. But we're going to talk about every move that Stearns makes, and he's not on the hot seat because I think Cohen is not going to unless it's a complete disaster, is not going to make any moves, which he shouldn't. Because at the end of the day, we want to become a stable organization, right? A lot of people were calling for Mendoza's head this year, calling for him to be fired. And bad organizations fire coaches every couple of years. We need to get into a more consistent organization. And I think that's what Cohen wants. He wants to get rid of all the LOL Mets. He wants to get rid of all that stigma that supposedly we have. And the only way to do that is to have consistency in the organization. So let's get down to it. The coaches, he got rid of almost all the coaches. The one that surprised me the most was Hefner, because we all liked Hefner. I mean, obviously not everybody, but most of us liked Hefner. We thought that he can, he's a good pitching coach, but he wasn't Stearns or Mendoza's guy. He's been here since 2019. Was his message stale? Who knows? I think that's a possibility. I also think that maybe they just wanted one of their guys to come in. And, we're not going to know the full story, but I just think that they cleaned house, not so much because of the bad coaching, even though there was some with the hitting coaches, but as putting their guys in place. They wanted to put their guys in place, and that meant a guy like Hefner also leaving. Some people may say because his message was stale. Who knows? Sometimes you need a change in the organization, which is okay. But you also want your guys. That's also what's going to be happening with the bench coach. I think Gibbons was more Stearns guys versus a Mendoza guy, and the bench coach is now going to be Mendoza's guy. Whether that's a Willie Randolph or my personal choice, I would love to see a Ron Washington be the bench coach. I think that he would bring a lot of value to the team. Watching him from afar when he was with the Braves, and I was like, man, I even wanted him as our coach, our manager, when we were looking for a manager before we got Mendoza. So this is a guy that I respect. that I think knows the game well and would be a great addition and a great voice in the ear of Mendoza, because he's a guy that can give some insight that maybe Mendoza doesn't have, because he is older, and he's seen a lot. Baseball's changing, but he hasn't changed, right? So at the end of the day, he can bring a lot of insight to the bench, and so that's my personal favorite. As far as the pitching coach and all the other coaches, I'm not really going to um, sit here and say I want this guy or that guy. The only guy that I'm chiming in is on the bench coach, because that's the only guy that I have any strong opinions about. You know, the pitching coaches potentially can come from within. Whether it's AAA, whatever. At the end of the day, I'm not too stressed out on who the pitching coach is, as long as they continue to develop these pitchers, right? And the ABS system is coming in next year, and so we need guys to attack the zone. It's I think it's an indictment to the pitching staff and to Hefner a little bit, that the young guys came in here attacking the zone, and the veterans were walking guys like crazy. We're in, because of the ABS system, and actually umpires are, a lot of them are really good, and they don't get fooled by the pitch frame and stuff like that. One of the terms that I can't stand is as a former catcher, that the idea that I'm fooling the ump. I just gotta laugh. The idea that I'm fooling the ump it just means that I'm fooling a bad ump if I'm fooling the ump, because the ump doesn't get fooled by me moving the glove. He's determined what if that's a strike or not way before I move my glove. And so the fact that pitch framing is a thing, I think it's a it's a number that cannot completely be quantified. Yes, you got numbers that say that it works, and you can, I guarantee you can create numbers that show that it doesn't mean a thing either. Because numbers can lie sometimes. So I'm I'm kind of glad that in a way the pinch frame is going to go away, because maybe the catchers can become catchers again and actually um, protect from wild pitches instead of worrying about pitch frame. So I'm hoping that's the case. But at the end of the day, going back to what we were talking about, is that the young guys were attacking the zone. They didn't give up walks like the veterans did, and it's something that we need to continue. Right, we need to continue to attack the zone and get guys to attack the zone. The other thing that was going on with Hefner is that a lot was going wrong, and he couldn't fix it. Whether it was Montas, who knows if that was a Montas thing, or or just Hebner couldn't fix him. Who knows? Most likely it was a Montas thing, because none of us believed in Montas, but Hebner couldn't right the ship. So we need a guy that fixes that. That if somebody's going wrong, he gets them right. As far as the hitting coaches, the only thing that I care about. I kind of agree with Chavez about there being one voice, not because of one being old school or new school. It's not about that. It's about um, them having. Hopefully, we get a mix of everything, analytics and feel, right? But at the end of the day, it's a guy that is saying the same thing, right? Not the same thing in the sense that he's stubborn, but one coach, the way I read things, the way that it was put is that one coach was saying one thing, and then the other coach was saying another. So you almost had conflicting coaching, as far as a two-person hitting coach, and so we want a coach that brings a consistent voice and fixes the guys or fixes in-game adjustments, not fixes the guys because these guys are professional ball players. You know, in-game adjustments because that's kind of the common theme of the season as well. The first one was that our two horses weren't pitching for us. The second one is we have a couple runs in the beginning of the game and go silent for the rest of the game. That has to be in-game adjustments, right? And so we want to see more in-game adjustments and the telling stat of all that is that 0-70, trailing after 8 innings. 0-70 after trailing after 8 innings because we didn't have any in-game adjustments. It's like we were trying to do the same thing and expect a different result. And you know what the definition of that is? That's insanity, right? So we don't want that. So at the end of the day, I'm glad they cleaned house because it's now the Stern show completely, right? There are no holdovers from other regimes, right? No Epler, no Brody bandwagoning. There are no holdovers. So, because I don't know if we remember, but Hefner was supposed to be coaching under Beltran. And that's another thing. I don't think it's going to be Beltran as the bench coach. If Beltran's the bench coach, as much as all the fans want Beltran as the bench coach, if Beltran's the bench coach, you're setting up Mendoza to fail because he's going to be looking over his shoulder. If Beltran's the guy, you don't want somebody that he may think is there to replace him. And I don't think they're looking to replace Mendoza. That's the other thing. I think everybody's talking about, Mendoza's on the hot seat, and I don't think he is on the hot seat. I don't think that. I think it's a different era of baseball. There's too much of collaboration going on, and Stearns likes Mendoza, and Stearns is collaborating with Mendoza, and so I don't think that he's going anywhere. That's the other part that we speculate because we're used to seeing us get rid of managers left and right. That Mendoza's on the hot seat. Where did that come from? I think that came from us, not from the front office. So, I honestly don't think that he is on the hot seat, and we'll see. One of the things that you do to alleviate that concern is by giving Mendoza more years. So we'll see in the next couple of weeks, before the coaches get hired, if Mendoza gets a few more years on the contract. So let's see what happens. But at the end of the day, I don't think he's going anywhere because I don't think Stearns wants him to go anywhere. He likes him. They collaborate really well. So yeah, that's my thoughts on the season, on the getting rid of the coaches, and so the next video is probably going to be in a couple weeks. I don't know if we'll come on next week if some breaking news with the Mets happen, which I don't think is going to happen. Not yet. Unless they hire a coach, maybe we'll come on and talk about it. But I don't think that's going to happen in the next couple of weeks. But in the next couple of weeks, we'll talk about the free agents that the Mets have right now, and then in the coming weeks, talk about potential trades that can happen. But until then, I'm watching. The Brewers go up on Chicago right now, and the Brewers. But what can you do? Watch good baseball. But at the end of the day, we're going to be back in 2 weeks. And, Victor may or may not be with us. His life is still a little crazy. But wanted to get back to it, wanted to get back and check in with y'all. But I really appreciate everything, you guys being patient with us and letting us take that time off and being gracious to us. But until then, let's go Mets.